As a parent and educator working with robots, I always find it quite interesting that tiny humans know a lot more than we give them credit for. I can always walk into a classroom full of kids of any age, and when they look at my robots, they are drawn to them. They want to touch them, they want to know what they do. What I loved about working with mTiny is that kids who have never touched robots before, don't really have a concept of robots, can pick him up and do things with him immediately because he's so user-friendly. So recently I took these robots into my daughter's classroom. My daughter is 5 years old. And as the kids walked into the rooms, they were like, wow, robots, like, what are we gonna do today? So they all come and so quietly just sit down on the carpet. And if any of you have 5-year-olds, you know how hard it is for them to walk and sit quietly anywhere. But I immediately had their attention. And the first question I asked is, what do you know about robots? And their hands just shot up across the room. And the kind of stories they would tell me is that I have robots at home. What kind of robot do you have at home, Johnny? My vacuum is a robot, and he sweeps the back of the house. And then I have an outside robot that cuts the lawn. And so they're already integrating all these experiences that they've had throughout their lives with the things that they're seeing. I put a picture of one of the Mars rovers on the screen, and immediately some of their eyes got huge and they were like, I know who that is. And I was like, well, who is it? He said, that's a rover. He explores. Their eyes get so big. They're so excited because somewhere in their life, they're getting little bits and pieces, but maybe haven't had hands-on contact. And when I moved a little further into the lesson, we started talking about how we were going to make the robot move. So I liked how the mTiny curriculum naturally integrated into things that the VPK students were already learning. Their directions, left from right, forwards, backwards. All of these words they're familiar with, but now they're seeing them in action. And then they saw that mTiny was responding, that he had emotions, right? And so, oh, I know what an emotion is. That's a feeling, right? So now they're relating it to the social emotional lessons that they're learning in their classroom. And so now they have this map where they can visually see this neighborhood that looks very much like their neighborhood, right? These are people that they encounter every day. This is a first responder. What do first responders do? What's happening right here on the map? Oh, they need help. Why do they need help? What happens? He's hurt. Well, who helps people when they're hurt? Even though we're working with robots, their minds are moving. They're making up stories about what these robots are doing, and no two students have the same story to tell. Like, their imaginations are wild. The stories that they tell, right? And so it's so cool to see. Even the teachers, when you talk about the excitement of the kids, the teachers were equally as excited to listen to all the sounds that the map was making. They were like, oh my goodness, what is mTiny going to do next, right? And so everybody was excited about the process. And I think that is the bridging factor for these robots. Everybody gets excited.